to the She's a 10 times 5 show with hosts Lori Jabbar and Michelle Emick. We're bringing public figures, subject matter experts, and other accomplished guests to the Studio 50 table to serve you up the best tips, tricks, and key takeaways that all us midlifers want to know about. Okay, time to join us for some times 5 fun. Let's go.
Okay, all you tenors, how many of you struggle with the need to please other people? This week's guest is Janice Burt, who is a sought-after international speaker and author of Kicking the People-Pleasing Habit. In this episode, we'll break down Janice's 6 steps to eliminating people-pleasing behaviors, as well as characteristics to identify if you're in the lane of focusing too significantly on wanting to please others in your life. Janice was awarded the Catalyst of Courage Award by the Los Angeles Tribune and was listed as a global woman to watch in the Washington DC Chronicle. Let's go. Look as good as you feel, with great skin made simple. Welcome to the all-in-one skincare system created by world-renowned plastic surgeon, Dr. Amir Karam. There's no need to look anywhere else. The Karam MD Trifecta packs more than 20 state-of-the-art ingredients into an easy 3-step system that addresses all aspects of aging for your best skin ever. Use discount code SHE'S10 for 10% off your purchase. Let's go.
Okay, welcome, Janice.
Hello.
Hello.
I'm so happy to be here with you too.
Yeah, we are happy too. And I have a personal investment in the topic today because I am a consummate people pleaser. So I am going to be leaning in hard as you give the 6 tips to help me navigate my life.
She needs a lot of help, Janice.
Mhm.
No pressure though. No pressure.
No pressure. I mean, I'm hanging on a thin line here for you. Yeah. So people pleasing is a thing, especially for women. And so I'm really excited to talk about this because I sometimes find myself obsessing about certain things and reactions that people have to what I do and making sure that everyone's happy at every event. So let's go.
Woo.
Yeah, let's start with why. Why do we do this?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Well, I've learned I just kind of speak for myself when talking about this, but a lot of people resonate kind of with my story and all of that. But I believe it comes from our childhood and our guardians, parents, and that relationship. And maybe feeling like we couldn't really express our authentic voice and ourselves because we would be criticized, shamed, you're too much, you're too this, that, And so a lot of wanting to please our caregivers, wanting them to be happy with us. And I believe that's where it starts for most people. I know for me it did.
Yeah, I came from a pretty dysfunctional family, and I kind of found myself, I'm the youngest in the role of being the good kid. And so I completely resonate with what you just said because I constantly was trying to be the kid that was not the problem and make my parents happy.
Yes. And if there's some dysfunction too with the parents, as a child, without even knowing it, you kind of want to fix it, or you might think it's all about you. It's your fault. That's why they're arguing or not getting along or something's going on. So if just you would show up in a particular way, they would be fine and life would be grand. And it's so crazy to me how things that happen when we're really young affect us our entire lives in our subconscious without us even sometimes realizing that we are living our life from this space of our inner wounded child. And sometimes we discount the things that happen like, oh, that wasn't a big deal. You should be over that by now. But truly, they impact the way that we show up in our day-to-day lives. So just as a quick story or example of that, when I was about 5 or 6 years old, my parents, I have an older brother, and they all went away to Alaska for 3 weeks. And they left me with my grandma, who had like 7 foster kids at the time. She's an amazing woman, by the way. Just she had 12 kids of her own. Then she kept having, foster kids. And so, but I, as a 5-year-old little girl, I don't understand this concept of why my whole family left me with my grandma who can't pay attention to me. And they're all, I just felt abandoned. And I remember even feeling, man, it's me. If I just would not argue as much or be a better girl for them or whatever, they would have taken me with them. So just like a little example about that.
Were you the youngest? Was that the reason why?
Yeah, I was the youngest, and I guess they just felt like, my brother was 8 and I was 5. So he was okay to do, it was a missions thing because my parents were missionaries when I was younger. And so they just decided we're going to take him and leave you with your grandma.
But you interpreted it as if I was this, then.
Isn't it? It's so interesting, but children, and you hear this a lot with divorced families, that they feel like it was their fault.
Yeah, I'm totally fascinated by how our childhood affects us. And I was just having this conversation today with my niece. We were talking about this, and I was saying, I grew up as a coach's kid. And so it was always get better. It's like you can be good, but you can be great if you keep going. And I've carried that in through my entire life. So I always wonder, why do I have this constant quest for more, or get better, better? And that's where it stems from. It was just the mentality. It was like, you could have a great game, but you can get even better. So keep going. So I can never just sit in, what I've done. It's like, I got to keep pushing forward. That all stems from childhood.
Absolutely. Yeah. Just not being able to kind of celebrate those accomplishments or take space for relaxation. And hey, I'm okay if I'm just chilling,
Right.
taking a bath, meditating. It's like, I got to go. And yeah.
Yeah. Fascinating.
Well, can we talk about what are indicators that you are a people pleaser or have a problem with wanting to please others? Like, what are those things that we need to look at and say, okay, this is an issue?
I would say when you feel so depleted because you're constantly giving to other people and your cup is like there's a trickle at the bottom, maybe, so you're not having a good time in life. You're not pursuing your dreams, your goals, things that you want to do. And you're just constantly giving to others in ways that actually you don't really want to deep within, but you feel this obligation, or you just can't say no because you don't want the conflict that feels so uncomfortable and scary to you. So, I remember it was funny. My ex-husband would always laugh at me because we'd be hanging out and the phone would ring. And he said, your voice changes completely when you answer the phone. And it's such a small thing, but it was like, yeah, why? It was me trying to be something, present myself in a way to make that person on the other line like me. I think that I was okay, and I would just change who I was in that moment to be what I perceived they wanted me to be or even sound like.
Yeah.
Well, gosh, social media then has
Mhm.
taken that to a whole nother level,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Social media has taken a lot of things to a whole nother level. It's like, wow. Yeah, trying to get that validation. And that was what, for me, I realized I am trying so hard to be loved. And that's it's so sweet about people pleasers. And I love us because we want to be loved, we want to be liked, we want to belong, and everybody does. That's not wrong, but it's this feeling of I have to get external validation. And what changed for me is I started realizing that I needed this external validation, that I was betraying my own soul to get external validation, and that I was the one who needed to change. Like, I needed to show up differently because I was so good at, like, I'm going to blame. It was my dad, it was my ex-husband, all these people, and that victim mentality. And as soon as I was going through my divorce, which was my super rock bottom loss of everything I thought my life was going to be, looking at my life going, what just happened? And who am I? And then I just decided, probably curled up on the bathroom floor, sobbing my eyes out, like, Janice, you are the common denominator in your life. And yes, maybe some crappy things happen to you. And yes, that's true. It's not to discount those, but it's to say, from this point on, do you want to keep blaming these people and you're stuck in this prison of fear and people pleasing? Or do you want to focus on you and go, what can I do differently to get out of this? And so I just started making really uncomfortable choices to do things differently and show up differently in life.
You know, I am so glad you said the term common denominator. And I want to share something with you. Is I was really down on myself because I had had a string of moments and events that pissed people off. And here I was, and I looked at my husband and I go, why are they getting mad at me? I can't include everyone. I can't always be there. I can't continue to do this. And someone's always going to get mad at me because I said, I am the common denominator here and I need to look at what I'm doing. And that was the moment I basically said, you know, I can't be everything to everybody and I have to stop. And if they get mad, they get mad. And it has honestly changed the past 8 months of my life.
Woo!
Yeah.
Mm.
And Michelle and we've talked about this, and it's like where you're like, why are you mad at me? And what did I do? And I'm such a God. And then I hurt their feelings and I feel so bad. And you kind of spiral. And then
What did I say to you?
ain't nobody got time.
Time. Come on.
Yeah.
You know, people, I think that's the thing. I mean, it's the expectations that are put on people. And I always say, I'm like, you got to also lower your expectations too, you know, in people, because you're always like, well, why did they feel this way or what? Who knows what's going on in other people? As long as you know who you are and there's good intent behind it, and you obviously communicate like, hey, this is what's going on with me, then, you know, however somebody's going to take it, they're going to take it. I mean, you're always going to have somebody that's mad at you or upset or because it doesn't meet their needs, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Ain't nobody got time.
Yeah. Ain't nobody got
Ain't nobody
time.
got time for that.
Yeah. Well, so let's talk about the 6 tips, because I think, you know, what I have done is implemented boundaries. So I want to see so let's talk about, you know, if you have a personality type like we do that wants to be liked and wants everyone to be happy, how do we fix it so it's not destructive in our own arena?
Yes. So the very first step is awareness, because we cannot change what we don't know. So it's bringing that into our conscious awareness. I remember thinking, I'm such a nice person, almost this self-righteous, look at me. I will give the shirt off my back and I am just such a nice person. And I didn't have the awareness to go, okay, where is that niceness coming from? Why are you being nice? What is the intention behind it? And as soon as I could see that, wait a minute, I'm actually being nice so that I could get something. So it was like a sleight of hand in magic or something, you know, where I thought I'm doing this out of the kindness of my heart, but really it was like, I want something out of this. I'm being a little bit selfish in doing this. so that was a huge awareness for me of going, okay, I don't want to say no to my kids, so that I can feel good and at peace and like there's no conflict. But is that actually the best choice for my kids? Like, should I constantly be giving into these things that I kind of know, like, no, I want to say no to that. So it's just having the awareness was the first step. And then the second step, like we talked about the childhood wounds, is identifying what those are and working on healing those emotional wounds, because it's deeper. We can set boundaries and do all these things, but I really feel like unless we kind of dig deep into the roots of where this came from, it's a little bit like maybe putting a Band-Aid over a deeper cut. So it'll help for sure, but like going a little deeper and saying, why, what is my wounded little girl inside feeling that maybe I haven't addressed yet, and I'm still carrying her with me.
And how do you do that? Through therapy or self-reflection, journaling?
So I did a lot of different types of therapy. And what I would say too is you don't have to break the bank. It's more of a mindset, like, I really want to figure this out. I'm feeling so much pain, emotional pain, discomfort, unhappiness. I made that choice of I'm gonna just keep trying things. I'm gonna get curious about life and about all of it. So I remember one of the very first things I did is I looked on Groupon. I don't know if everybody has Groupon, but it's basically an app where you can go and do certain services and activities for cheaper. So I went on Groupon and there was
get really bad lip filler.
Yeah.
I was thinking that. I was like, yeah, there's some aesthetic services they have on there that are.
Yeah, we all know those. Okay.
Listeners.
That's a good point. Yeah, maybe you want to be a little more selective than I am. But I was just at that point, and I didn't have a ton of money either at that time because I was going through the divorce. I hadn't worked for, I don't know, 10 years because I was a stay-at-home mom. So there were all these shifts in my life. And I remember going, but I need to do something differently. And I don't really care what that looks like. I'm just going to get curious. And so I did a hypnotherapy session through Groupon, which ended up just being amazing, partially because I was just ready to go there and to go deep. But I've done EMDR and some attachment therapy, some neurofeedback therapy. I've read self-help books. I've gone to networking things. I really just decided I'm gonna learn. I want to grow. I want to figure this out. And it doesn't happen overnight. I'm 11 years into this journey of transformation and getting out of that prison of fear and people pleasing. And it's a process. I still have to make these choices every day to move through the fear and to trust and surrender and show up in my life in a way that makes me proud ultimately, and that I can sleep at night and feel like, man, I'm in alignment. This is awesome. Because that's the one thing, being a people pleaser, you can feel very out of alignment. Like what you're thinking, what you actually want to say are not the words that come out of your mouth. And that's a rough place to be in. You feel just not content with yourself, almost like you're not trusting yourself. And as soon as I learned to have my thoughts and beliefs and what I said and my actions all get more in alignment, it's like my life just feels so much better. I'm at peace.
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, I love that you're really reprogramming.
Yes.
That's a great way to put it, Michelle. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah, because those pathways, man, they can get so deeply ingrained in this people pleasing rut. And yeah.
Yeah. And I was going to say, I mean, what I love again in the takeaway is that you put in the work. It's not just one thing. You're not just picking up like, oh, I read this great self-help book. You were putting in the work, just like you do with anything else, whether it's working out or your career. You have to put the work in to come out on the other side.
Absolutely. And make that choice to be comfortable experiencing discomfort. There's something, we obviously want to avoid pain, but part of my experience has been those painful moments have really shaped me. And it's the diamond analogy, it's the butterfly analogy, it's those things. And as much as we want to avoid it, because it's like, oh, that just feels icky, uncomfortable. It's those have been the moments that have changed me in my life. And one other thing I would say, and this is one of so healing emotional wounds, the third is developing self-love. So really working on yourself and that commitment that you have to yourself, to doing those things that light you up, the path that is made for you, where you just go, I'm not living my life for Bob or Sue or Sally or Jane. Like, this is my life. It's funny, I'm actually working on a speech where I talk about the bodybuilding competition that I did. That was me walking through my fear, because I had major body image issues, fear of judgment and being labeled and stuff. So in this speech, I just go, I started hearing these voices, people's voices, like my mom's voice. You're going to do what? Stand on a stage wearing what? And then I hear the judge's voice, like, does she even know that this is a bodybuilding competition? I mean, -1 for those stretch marks, -2, and I could even hear my other competitor's voice in my head, the very blonde, very beautiful, long leg Lucy, saying, oh my gosh, honey, no, you really thought you were ready for this competition? Oh no, honey. But there was another voice that I heard in my head. And this voice, for once in my life, showed up louder than any of the other voices. And it said, it's my life. It's now or never. I ain't gonna live forever. So it's like learning to trust our voice and truly like embracing who we are in this life, because our life is short.
Yeah.
And sometimes, we forget, we forget.
Yeah.
Well, that's beautiful. I love it. I love that story. I was visualizing it as you were talking about it. And that message could not be, we couldn't ring that any louder.
Amen. Yeah. I got a great trucker's hat for you. It says, I'm not for everyone. There you go. Should have worn that in your bodybuilding competition.
Yes.
That's so hot.
We're not forever. There's how many people on this planet Earth, and we actually think we can live in such a way that's going to make everybody like us or feel happy with us, or no.
We're not for everyone. And I'm like, find your people. I love this because it just ties in. It's like, what the people you surround yourself, how do they make you feel? I was just saying this to my niece. I'm like, they make you feel good, or they walk away feeling, not everybody, friendships change. So many dynamics change, but you want to surround yourself around those people that are lifting you up.
Well, yeah. And I think, as we get older, we accept that there's just topical friendships. Like you can hang out together, enjoy each other's company, but you're not going to call them if you get a cancer diagnosis or your kid's going through it. They're just not those friends. And I think that's one of the things that I've learned is like, not everyone has to be my BFF and not
Well,
everyone has to like everything I do. Right.
I was going to say too, Lori, and and I'm sure you see this, Janice, but if you've shown up a certain way for so long, and then all of a sudden, you're kind of having awakening yourself or reprogramming, and all of a sudden you say, no, I mean, whoa.
Oh yeah. No,
Lori,
100%. Like, wow, Lori, you're not gonna XYZ.
Yeah, because I'm not meeting your needs. I'm meeting my own.
Yeah.
And I'm putting boundaries in place. This is this is me. And it's interesting to see who then shows up.
Yes, and I love that it's true. Your tribe shows up. And that's what, whenever we start feeling like, oh, I don't want to say no because then they're not going to like me or they're going to, good. Like we don't want to surround ourselves with those people. Trust yourself, trust that instinct, your gut.
Because you always know, that voice inside is telling you, I don't know about, I don't know. And then, I'll just do it. No, go with God.
Yep.
Yep.
There's another facet to this that I find if you're in the mindset of people pleasing is your mind doesn't stop. It's exhausting because you're constantly turning the Rubik's Cube over and over. I wonder what they're saying about me. I wonder, are they talking? And God, I noticed that they were together, but I'm not in it. And it is exhausting. And I will have to say, Michelle, one of the things that's come out of the podcast as a silver lining is you do get a lot of, people are talking and they're judging and they're saying shit behind your back. And you get to the point where like, I don't care.
Yeah, I totally don't care. I'm like, because I think again, when the people pleaser is, and I have someone that I know close that is, not you, Lori, because you too, but people aren't thinking about you as much as you think they are. So you spend all this time worrying in your head. What are they thinking? They're not. They're really not. But yeah, I know many people that do. I mean, and then I get the phone call. What do you think about this? I don't. What do you think I should know? Like, just don't let it go, please. But I know that it's just the wheels are just turning. They can't sleep. They're thinking, just like Lori said. And how do you stop that and quiet the noise?
Yes. So another thing that really worked for me was yoga and meditation. And I will tell you the breath to movement flow of yoga or even a nature walk and that meditative space was really hard for me because of the noise, the monkey mind, it's just like swinging from branch to branch. And then this takes me over here. And then this thought takes me over here. And really learning that I am not my thoughts. I am not my thoughts. I am the essence, the presence, the being behind them, because obviously I can be aware of my thoughts. I can learn to focus on my breath instead of focusing on this thought taking me here, leading me, down that negative spiral.
Right.
Love that.
Yeah. Okay. Keep going.
Okay. So then boundaries is step 4 in my little book thing. And boundaries, like I said, you can establish them and that's great. I feel like addressing the emotional wounds and stuff really helps to establish boundaries. But things like, instead of that immediate go-to yes or feeling of I need to respond positively, having a pre-constructed saying or thing that you say when someone asks you to do something, even if let's say 100%, yes, this is in line with what I want to do, it's a yes, waiting and just saying, I have a new thing that I've developed in my life where I take a 24-hour period to just really contemplate this, whatever requests I'm getting, or, even to go on a trip or to do this or to do that. And then you take that time and really process it, sit in stillness, meditate on it, see if it's truly in alignment, and then you get back and give a response. And it doesn't feel weird to either party, because you're just saying, this is a new thing I've implemented for everybody, not just for you in this instance.
I'm obsessed with this. This is number 4.
Yes.
Oh, this is great. Pause, because it's so quick. You get a text message from a friend or something. It's like, hey, can you go here? And you're immediately, and then how many times do people do that, right? You say yes. Like, why did I do that? If you just sat on it a minute, or let them know, like, hey, let me, I'm just going to take a little time. I got to take a look at my schedule, or whatever that makes you feel better. Because I know sometimes people get anxious. They feel like they have to respond right away, but just pause on that.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, I did the same thing this holiday season, Michelle. We've talked about it, where I hit the yes button on the RSVPs. And then all of a sudden I looked at my calendar. I'm like, holy shit, what did I do? And then, oh, by the way, my dog has surgery and the kids are coming home and we had a flood. And then I'm like completely overwhelmed. And then what sucks about it is you say yes, and then you got to back out because you just can't do it. And then that's not right. I mean, like, then I don't feel good, right? It's not even about boundaries. It's like, now you feel like you're really letting someone down versus just upfront saying, can't do it.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's been a game changer for me, just because there is part of me where I want to say yes to things, and I just do. But like you said, then it's going, okay, maybe I want to, but maybe practically speaking, I just can't, because look at my calendar. Or a lot of times with me, it was more, I feel obligated. I feel obligated that I don't want to let someone down. I just hated this concept of rocking the boat, of having someone be disappointed with me. And that's where I just had to go, okay, would you rather they be disappointed with you or you be disappointed with you?
Well, okay. So let me challenge you on this, because this is where I have a different take. I think there are times, especially when we talked about the tribe, you have those people in your foxhole that have been friends for a very long time. Sometimes I think we need to show up for those people at certain events or functions because it's the right thing to do for them as a friend. And it may not be something that I would say, oh God, I'm really excited about doing it, but I know that my friend needs me there. And so I think that that's the exception to the boundary.
Absolutely. And if you can do that from a place of not holding a resentment, of truly like, I'm all for that. This is a friend. I don't really feel like going, but I really want them to feel supported. And that to me is the most important. And that's from a true place in your heart. Then hell yeah, absolutely. It's more this of like, oh, I'm invited to this Christmas party and I have a million other things going on. And maybe this person hasn't really shown up for you the way that you've shown up for them. And if you say yes, you're going to be resentful. Like, you're going to carry on a little bit of that like cringy, feeling. That's where I just go take pause and really see, what is my intention, my true intention in going and in saying yes to those types of things.
Okay.
It'd be nice if you could tell the person that, like, I don't really want to go, but because it's you.
I started, and I think my thing is that I have recognized within myself is I just at this point in my life don't like small talk. I just don't. It's frivolous. It doesn't interest me. It doesn't inspire my curiosity. So for those events that I go to that I know is going to entail a lot of small talk, I am very upfront saying, you know what, I don't want to do this, but I'm going to be there because you're my girl.
Or here's another little twist take on that is go and then rock the boat with you're not doing small talk, you're going in deep. So any conversation that you have, be like, hey, I want to know something, meaningful about you. What do you feel like your purpose in life is? Do you feel like you have a purpose in life? Do you feel, and
No,
then you just take
I really
that
want to
deep.
do that. I really don't
On a
care.
couch. She's like, "Eh."
Yeah, no, not so much.
You know,
She's like, no.
get your point to that, is saying, you know what, let me throw people off and just kind of, hey, I'm here. We're gonna go there.
But it's this, even if that's not for you, this concept of kind of writing your own rules, making life enjoyable to you, not just what society is setting it up like it's supposed to be this way. And in this context, you can only have small talk. And in this context, you can only do this or that. It's like, how do you feel like showing up? What do you want to bring to the table in life, even if it is a little different than the status quo?
Okay.
That's the good stuff right there.
And then, so boundaries number 5 is, I called it decide and do, which is kind of like making the choice and then taking action. And the taking action part, it's funny because I always say that's what did it. But then I'm like, no, but when I learned how to meditate and sit in stillness, that's what did it. It's kind of like all of these things work together. And as I've learned to balance them in my life, it's been beautiful. Because if we're just taking action, but there's no reflection, no meditation, no truly getting in alignment, then, we're just doing, we'll probably face some burnout, some stuff like that. Whereas if we're balancing the action that we're taking with this place of intentionality and
Well, I think it's more thoughtful that way, right? I mean, it's more thoughtful. You've put the work in. So your action, you can feel good about it as opposed to just doing. And then you haven't really reflected on the intent behind it, right?
It's
yes.
like getting out of autopilot mode, and we all do that.
Yeah.
We all just, our day just goes by, and you sit at the end of the day and you're like, well, what the hell did I just do today? It loses its meaning if you're not intentional about it.
Yes. And here's a fun thing to do for people that feel like they're on autopilot to kind of shake things up is I made the commitment when I first started this journey of changing myself. I said, I'm going to do at least one thing every year that terrifies me, that like pulls me right out of my comfort zone. So I have a whole year. It's not like, oh, we got to do something every month or, because then that could be overwhelming. But one thing in this next year that I could do that's scary, but that is going to cause me to grow. So one year I did a marathon because I felt like that was impossible. I literally felt like it was impossible. Like, how do you even run 26 miles? I don't even know how people do that. So that was really scary and terrifying. But that was the intention behind it. My intention was not, I'm going to run a marathon so I can win first place or run super fast, or my only goal was I'm going to run it because I want to walk through the fear. I want to prove to myself that I can do something hard, I can stick to it, and I can be consistent. So then the next year I was like, okay, I'm going to self-publish a memoir. And I'm going to put some things out there having to do with my past, my dad, and some other people that have been kind of like family secrets that I feel are poisoning me. I'm carrying these things that aren't even really mine to carry, and I'm tired of it. So I'm going to self-publish a memoir. So going through life and just setting a goal, one thing, and that whole year just working on completing whatever that thing is. So then it's intentional and you're taking action, and hopefully you're not feeling too overwhelmed.
Okay, Michelle, let's get our goal, right?
That one. I told you mine the other day.
What is it?
Well, I hate running, and I've done a few 5Ks because of family members, so we've done it together, but I'm going to do a 10K at Disney, one of those. And
And
I
she's going to dress as a princess.
stop it. I am not, but I am going to do it because I'm like, you know what? It's out of my comfort zone, and why not? So I'm going to train for it, and I have no intention of coming close to the the top runners, but I just want that feeling of accomplishment, and I always love to do that. So I'm big on getting out of your comfort zone, and so that's mine this year.
Yeah,
that is awesome.
I don't have any problem getting out of my comfort zone ever. So I don't even know what I've jumped out of airplanes.
You're writing a book, right? And you're writing a book.
I'm writing. Yeah, I am writing a book, which is a little daunting. So, yeah.
Well, and here's the thing. If you're good at that, maybe looking at, like you said, this people pleasing thing, or if you're scared of sitting in stillness, or if you're, scared of healing emotional wounds, like for me, it wasn't just these achievements, although that was part of it, of goals that I would set like that. But it was more like, what terrifies me? Oh, I'm so scared of people's judgment. People's judgment scares me. So what could I do where I can walk through that fear of judgment, where I'm putting myself in an arena to be judged?
Mhm.
Because it's kind of like that exposure therapy,
Mhm.
where what you're scared of, you slowly or quickly, depending on how you choose to do it, but choose to put yourself in that space and expose yourself to the fear. And it's proven, and I feel like it was proven in my life. From personal experience, I know that as I did that and exposed myself to my fears and walked through them, I grew and evolved and changed in that process. So just looking at from a different angle, maybe not a goal to achieve, but
I was trying not to laugh because I'm like, okay, so I'm walking through it. I'm going to do my 10K in a sports bra.
yes,
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I'm going to go there. I'm going to expose myself. That's my own fear. Like, oh, I was just thinking in my mind, I'm like, visually, what would push me out of my comfort zone? That would be it.
I freaking love that. Yes, because with women, as we know, and body image issues that are just so pervasive, that was one of the reasons I did that bodybuilding competition. Was, I was raised very fundamentalist Christian, and so modesty was like a huge deal. And it's not saying that I'm like pro being super immodest either, but this feeling of, I can't even go to the beach and feel comfortable in a bathing suit. And it's a constant, just like, it's just on my mind. And what are people going to say? And all of that. So that was one of the main reasons that I was like, I'm going to do a bodybuilding competition. And I shook the entire time I walked across the stage in my high heels. I was just like shaking.
That's badass.
It was terrifying.
That takes a lot of courage to do. So kudos to you.
Thank you. But no, I love the idea of the sports bra, whatever it is for each individual person. It's not a one size fits all. It's like we each know kind of that next step for us in our evolution.
Love that.
Okay. Are we on 6?
We're on 6. Oh my gosh. This one is so cool. It has to do with visualization, and also visualizing the highest version of ourselves, so that then we can step into that, because it's hard to step into something that we don't even see or have a concept of. So with this one, I actually, and some people are more visual than others, but when I was totally knee deep in the people pleasing and living from this fear state mentality, it was like the vision that I had of myself was of a drowned rat. That's the best way I could say it, where mud in my hair covering my eyes, shoulders hunched forward, eyes downcast, just insecure. Insecurity was just one of my huge things. I just never really felt good about myself. And so that image, I would actually kind of view myself in that light. So as I did a hypnotherapy session, and she was guiding me along to visualize the highest version of myself. And so I saw a woman, and I knew it was me, but she was kind of in the distance, and it was her back. She was wearing this long white flowing dress. She was on a cliff looking out over the ocean, and her shoulders were back. Her heart was forward. And there was just this peace and love and purpose emanating out of her. And I see this woman in my mind's eye, and I'm like, holy shit, that's me. Like, that's me. And it was just such a powerful image that I had, that I went home, and I have a friend who's a photographer and a painter. So I actually hired her to go to a cliff here in California. I bought a white dress, kind of what was in my imagination, put it on, stood on a cliff. She took pictures of me. We came home. She painted this on a canvas. So now I have this fairly large painting that hangs in my room of myself, but the highest version of myself, so that every day when I wake up, and if I'm feeling those not good enough feelings, or I'm feeling like I don't want to show up today, it's too hard, it's too painful, certain things like that, I will look at this painting and I remember who I truly am. And so for everybody to start to use that beautiful imagination that we've been given, that so many times we don't use, we don't visualize or see things, but to truly be able to step into the next version of ourselves and the next version of ourselves, like imagining and visualizing that, so that then we can take those baby steps and make those choices every day to become who we are.
Wow. Okay, we end on that.
That's
Like,
that's
there's
the
more to
beauty.
say. Yeah. Thank you for sharing. That's great.
Thank you both so much for having me. You guys are
Well,
amazing.
we're not done yet. We're gonna end on a little fun.
Oh,
We got
yay.
stuff.
I just think that you crescendoed on your 6, and I don't think there's anything we can say to top what you just laid out for us. So anyway, okay. So you ready to be put in the hot seat?
Woo! Yes.
Okay, you're gonna love this. Okay, this is the luxury pickleball lightning round. We ask every guest the same 5 questions, times 5 the fun, okay? And Luxury Pickleball curates, wait for it, beautiful products and experiences around pickleball. And if you use the She's a 10 code, you get 20% off. So let's go. All right, you ready?
Can I just say something really quickly? I am so in love with this because pickleball is my new sport. And yes,
We got a pickler.
We got a pickler. So I know we got to get Michelle pickling. We just did a pickleball episode. So that should be interesting. Okay, first question. Where is your happy place?
ooh, my happy place is somewhere outside where there are trees, where there's grass, where it's green and beautiful, and I can hear birds chirping and maybe a creek in the distance, just nature and connecting with that.
Love it.
You got the knack for visualization, lady.
Yeah.
I was visualizing all that. I love it. Okay, number 2. If you could sit next to anyone on an airplane, who would it be?
Oh my gosh. This is crazy, but the very first person that came into my mind was my son. My son, Samuel, who is just amazing. He's 21 years old. We have these conversations that are so philosophical and fun, and he's 21. So I don't see him as much as I would like. So he is like, whenever I get those moments with him, I treasure them. So it would have to be my son.
Well, mine won't be my son because we got in an argument last night. I'm kidding. Hey, this is a fun one. And I think I know what you're going to answer with this. Do you believe in UFOs and aliens?
Oh my gosh. That's so funny that this is a question, because literally just the other day, I was sitting in my car going, if someone asked me that, I don't know how I would respond.
Okay.
So I would have to say, I don't know. I, in general, in life, am a seeker. So I try to be very open and not closed-minded, because I remember how that closed-mindedness and rigidity felt. So I am very open, but I don't know.
Okay.
It's fair. Okay. Next question is favorite concert you've ever attended?
Oh, hasta que me olvides, voy a amarte tanto, tanto, Luis Miguel. So I lived in Mexico City when I was a little girl, and he's a huge pop star in Mexico City. And so I would say he by far was my favorite concert.
That's awesome.
Awesome. And
Oh my gosh, I totally just lied though.
Why?
Because I mean, he was the first one that popped into my mind, but we just went to see U2 at the Sphere.
you're the second person to say that.
It was mind freaking blowing. So I just changed my answer. It has to be that concert was, if anybody can go, I say do it.
Well, the universe is calling us, Lori. Trip
Okay.
to Vegas, us too.
Do it.
Let's go. Okay, final one. If you could tell your younger self what you know today, what's in a very short answer here, because you basically just did this the whole episode, I'm realizing. What would you tell her?
Believe in yourself.
Ooh. I think that's perfect. Because I think this whole interview is kind of telling our past selves what we know today. You know, your journey and then what you've learned and how we get through it, right?
Absolutely. And like I said, I was very insecure for many, many years. And so the believe in yourself, know that you're enough.
Yeah.
You are loved and you are loved.
Mhm. Well, thank you so much for coming on, and your vulnerability and your emotion and passion. I mean, it just bleeds through and through.
Thank you so much. Really, for this platform that you guys have created and following your hearts and highlighting women of a certain age, and like really putting it out there in a way that gives hope and encouragement for all of us to continue to live our very best lives.
Yeah.
Super
Absolutely.
awesome.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay. And for those of you that want to check out her books and her platform, it's Janice, JANICE, Burt, BURT.com. Right?
That's it. That's it.
God, I did it right, Michelle.
I can't even believe it. I'm shocked.
Oh,
She always butchers names.
I always butcher names. All right. Thank you so much, Janice. And thank you for everyone that has tuned in. Until next time.
Are you looking for high-end pickleball equipment, attire, or even a luxe pickleball vacation? Introducing Luxury Pickleball, the curator of all products and experiences for your social or competitive pickleballer. Paddles, attire, accessories, and quality life experiences wherever you travel with your paddle. Use discount code SHE'S10. That's SHE'S10 for 20% off for quality on and off the court. Let's go.
Follow us on Instagram at She's a 10 times 5. You can click on the link in our bio to listen to all of our previous episodes, as well as check out our live video interviews over our YouTube channel. You can also find us on Apple, Spotify, iHeart, pretty much wherever else you decide to listen to your favorite podcast. Don't forget to hit subscribe.